This is Christopher Bruzo. Welcome back. Some of the criticism I have received showing my hunting rifles is that they're heavy. They are 10, 11 pound rifles, which I don't have an issue with, but some people like lighter rifles. So this is one of my lighter rifles. It's a Kimber 84M chambered in .308 with the Zeiss Diavari V scope. I'm going to do a tour of this rifle, and I will also do a tour of a Forbes 20B chambered in .308, comparable rifle in terms of weight, price, and kind of reputation, but the way the rifle functions, the concept behind the rifle is completely different than this Kimber. So we're going to tour this one. Next week we'll tour the Forbes, and then we are going to shoot both at the range, compare groups, see how they recoil, and so forth. So today is the Kimber 84M. This is the classic. This is the Montana is generally thought of as the common Kimber rifle. They also make a line with wood stocks. The classic is what you see here. It's a walnut stock with no ebony fore-end tip. They make one with a fore-end tip, and then they make a Super America, which is supposed to be more accurate. So starting with the butt pad, we have my preferred Packmeyer recoil pad. The way this is cut, it's 13 5/8 inches, which is pretty good. I prefer about 13 and a half, but I'm not going to complain about a stock rifle coming that way. So it's blended very nicely. You've got it actually feels like polymer or I don't know if it's ebony, but it looks like a ebony cap there, and you have beautiful walnut wood. I usually run this rifle with a cheek pad because if I get behind this stock and open my eye, I'm looking at the bottom of this ring. So I usually use a cheek pad. It's not on here because this wood is beautiful and I wanted you to see it. As it sits, it is 7 pounds 0 ounces. That's going to increase when I add the cheek pad. Not a lot. It's the Triad Tactical I usually use. It's not going to increase it much. I'm going to guess 2 ounces, but we will revisit that in the range video. So, beautiful stock. It has cut checkering. This is not press checkering. It's 20 lines per inch, and it's very, very grippy. I've hunted with this rifle a handful of times. It doesn't have excessive use, so I don't know how this will age over time. I'm guessing it's going to be fine. It can always be recut by a competent gunsmith who can do hand checkering, but it's a beautiful stock. It's light. This is actually the only wood stock I own. And I love it. I originally kind of wanted the Montana instead, and I'm glad I didn't get it. This is a beautiful rifle. It's since been discontinued. The one with the ebony fore-end tip and premium wood is still available, but the classic has been discontinued. And it's interesting, they actually print classic on the barrel. They print the barrel has nothing to do with the stock, and the only thing that's different is the stock, but they actually imprint classic on there. And yeah, so moving up, the trigger is stock. I'm not aware of anybody who makes aftermarket triggers for this rifle. However, this was tuned by Rivers Bend Gun Shop in Kansas City, and it breaks exactly at 3 pounds. So they hand tuned it. It feels great. I mean, it's a crisp. So you got a little bit of movement, tiny bit of movement, and then it breaks. You can just barely feel that movement. Yeah, there's a little bit of movement, but a stock trigger that's been tuned, I'm not going to complain about that. You're going to get more. You could tune a Remington 700 trigger, and this is going to beat the hell out of it. It's not a competition aftermarket trigger. It's not a diamond trigger, but it's good. I feel no need to change it for hunting. We'll see how it does on the range trip, I guess. So the stock was bed by Reverse Bend Gun Shop. In theory, Kimber beds their stocks, and technically they do, but what they do is they bed it to a generic, I don't even think it's an action, I think it's a mold of some sort. So yes, they're bed with some sort of epoxy, it's a brown epoxy, and from what I've read on the internet, it is not the actual action and barrel that get mated to the stock. So when I received this rifle, I was a bit disappointed that the barrel was not free-floated. It is supposed to be free-floated, and Kimber guarantees 1 MOA 3-shot groups. We'll see if that happens, but anyway, when I got it, the barrel was crooked in the barrel channel and contacted the stock. That should never happen, especially for something that is quote-unquote bed. So it went to Reverse Bend Gun Shop, they re-inlet it, they recut the barrel channel and bed the action, bottom metal, tune the trigger, and the fit and finish on this is spectacular. This rifle is beautiful. It is... There's something classic about a walnut stock and blued steel. And it's funny because this is the only one I have, but I find it very, very pleasing to handle, look at, work the action. Really like it. So the Kimber 84 actions are similar to like a Winchester 70, but they're put on a diet. They're very small, very tiny. There is not much mass to it, but the overall design is very similar. You have a controlled round feed bolt with a huge Mauser extractor. You've got your 3-position safety and your side bolt release, a fixed ejector. Well, here's a round. We went through the controlled round feed on my CZ 550 video, but I mean, it is fully captured by the bolt. It's not going anywhere. I don't mind push feed, but a lot of people like this controlled round feed, and I'm certainly not going to. I mean, I'm not going to exclude a rifle if it's push feed, but I'm probably going to favor the controlled round feed. A stock bolt handle that's fixed, it feels very good. It's dainty. That's the best way to describe it. It's small, but the whole rifle is small. The action is tiny. It's more like a Remington Model 7 as opposed to a 700. If you've ever compared the two side by side, yeah, they're similar, but one's it's miniature. It still fits a 308 round, and the magazine box is tight. When I put vernier calipers on it, it's 2.80 something inches. A 308 cartridge is generally loaded to 2.8 inches cartridge overall length. So there is no extra room there. And a lot of people complain about the magazine box. So if you're hand loading and the lands are out further and you want to go beyond that 2.8, you can't. It doesn't feed well. And we're going to test these with factory ammo. So that's not a problem. I've always wanted to rechamber this rifle in my match cartridge, which is a 6x47 Lapua. And the reason I want to do that is the cartridge overall length is much shorter. It's close. It's right around 2 inches, depending on your chamber and such. That would be great for this magazine box. And for deer in North Carolina, there's no issue with 6mm or 243. It's the same thing. Coming back to the rifle, the magazine box is tiny, fits factory ammo, so you aren't going to shoot 210 grain burgers out of this, nor would you want to once we get to the barrel. So the action's very similar to a Model 70. It's a good action. I've never really heard any complaints about it. Most of the complaints you read about with Kimber rifles are the fit and finish. Notoriously, the magazine box is too tall, which Rivers Bend Gun Shop fixed. There's binding. They need to be free floated. So that's all been done. Coming up to mount the scope, I'm using Tally ultralight rings. I've gone through a number of scopes on this rifle, and some people have the belief that Tally ultralights for reliability are a bit suspect. I've never had any issues with them, nor have I put thousands of rounds through them. Originally, I was using the Tally quick detached steel rings. It's a 308. I'm not shooting like a 475. Not too worried about the rings. Potentially, I mean, they're cast aluminum. Maybe they'll fail me. I hope not. But they are the low height, not the extra low. The extra low. You can see I've got clearance here, but with the bolt gets very close, and I made contact when I had Butler Creek caps on here. So these are the low height, and they are holding a Zeiss Diavari V 1.5 to 6x42 T-Star. It's a made in Germany, first focal plane Zeiss scope. I'll show you the other side. This was the first higher end scope I owned, and I love this scope. It's the second favorite hunting scope I own. The first is the Schmidt & Bender 1.5 to 6x42. It's a great scope. It's got the number 8 reticle, first focal plane, extremely bright. This one I bought used in 2011, late 2011. I talked to Zeiss, verified serial number and stuff, and they told me that this scope was made in 2009. So it's a 2009 Diavari V 1.5 6x42 T-Star. A reticle is great. First focal plane. I hunt with this on 2 power. I've taken countless deer with this scope. You can see it's got ring marks on it. It's got some dents up here on it. I've used this scope and I love it. The target knobs, you'll see it has a 1/10 of a mil target knobs. There's no zero stop, and it did not come with them. I sent it, when I bought the scope, I sent it to Zeiss, and they installed 1/10 of a mil. It actually says 0.36 inches / 0.1 mil rad at 100 yards. Because this was originally on a 30-06, so I was shooting longer range. I needed the ability to dial up my shots. And I actually called them, and they needed to call me back. They weren't sure if they could still work on this scope to put the hunting knobs back on. They suggested I contact Kenton Industries, who does retrofits of these dials onto normal Zeiss scopes, and see if they could do the reverse for me. I'm not backpacking, I'm not putting this in a scabbard, so I'll probably get it retrofit just because I'm using this on my land and I'm not shooting, certainly not shooting past 200 yards. So the barrel. This is I would call it a pencil thin barrel. This thing is tiny. It's chromoly steel. I have a few Ruger Americans that have chromoly, but other than that, I always prefer stainless steel, just from a corrosion standpoint. So as we went through, it's free-floated. Interestingly, this is a 4-groove barrel. Most of what I purchase, if I have a choice, is going to be 5-hour rifling. I've got some 6-groove. This is the only 4-groove I own. I read it doesn't make a difference. But more importantly, it's a 12-inch twist. Depending on who you talk to, you can probably shoot 175, 180 grain bullets out of it, but maybe you can't. And when we test this, I'm going to use 165 grain AccuBonds. This is, especially because the magazine box, I'm not going to try to shoot huge bullets through it. That's not the point of this rifle. I view this as a gentleman's deer rifle, so I'm sure it'll stabilize the 165 grain bullets. I will test it with 175 just for the fun of it. And you have a recessed crown on the end, which is nice. So it's just your classic style deer rifle. Lightweight, and we'll see how it performs. As I said, next week we'll visit what I view as a competitor to this, which is the Forbes 20B and 308, and then we'll compare them. So I truly appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, like, share the video, leave a comment. If you want to see me do something in particular, leave a comment, and I'm well open to suggestions. I know it's been suggested I do like a everyday carry pocket dump type thing, so I'm thinking of pulling that out in the near future. I don't know if I'm ever gonna cover handguns. I have a lot of them. I'm not a big fan. They're kind of just a necessity, because you can't conceal a rifle. So I'm kind of on the fence. Let me know if you want to see some handguns in videos, but right now we're doing this lightweight hunting series, and until next time, enjoy.